The preface to Mingled Voices 10 by Jeffrey Streeter. In his 1971 poem Gift, the Polish Nobel laureate Czesław Miłosz describes the simple pleasures of a day so happy and enjoys the view of blue sea and sails. The evil I had suffered does not mar the gift of this day and its natural wonders, and he feels no pain. The gift was the suggested theme for the International Proverse Poetry Prize, from which the poems in this anthology are drawn. The gifts that reach the poets in Mingled Voices 10 are more obviously imbued with the sorrows of grief or the pangs of memory than the poem I quoted earlier. In Tanusha Nagrav's beautiful first prize-winning poem, Elegy, A Gift from Those Who Have Gone, what is received after the death of a loved one is a black box of sorrow, which brings only a numbing comfort, as time seems to erase details, even as it soothes. No names, no addresses, no faces, only the long, languid yet luminous relearning of light. In Gary Beaumier's Just Before You Fly Away, the gifts are the simple possessions left behind by the recently deceased. You have left me with all your hats. But the poet finds that memories disappear along with these objects as he finds a suitable place for them. The poplar is shedding and her boughs have lowered, so I place your red beret beneath it, to be buried come autumn in its leaves. Only then I forget your face. In Graham Wood's The Gift of an Ending, the gift received is one of relief from the ravages of nature, as expressed in the poem's lovely conclusion, and the long, painfully held flood breath of the valley could be released in one collective sigh. The gift in Allegra Jostad Silberstein's poem The Gift is a human one. On your kitchen table, 4 loaves of newly baked bread. Was it a gift for your children? This offering, freighted with symbolism, is weighed against the finality of her mother's departure. No force of gravity, no tears, no science, no recipe to bring you home. The suggested theme was not the only inspiration for these poets. As Gillian mentioned in her editor's note, some writers find their creative spark ignited by other texts, especially classical ones. A particularly striking example is Maria Elena Blanco's second prize-winning poem, Penelope's meditation on Cavafy's famous poem Facing Manhattan Island. Blanco's poem reinterprets the original, which had itself offered a meditation on the meaning of destination and home in Homer's Odyssey. For Cavafy, the journey, not the destination, was the key thing in his reimagining of Odysseus' saga. Better if it lasts for years, so you're old by the time you reach the island, wealthy with all you've gained on the way, not expecting Ithaca to make you rich. Blanco's traveller finds her own way to achieve the kind of detachment urged by Cavafy. Leaning on the Ionian column with the Egyptian cat, and my loom anchored on the Brooklyn Bridge, a net of words spread through the seas, and my home in the air, I celebrate life. Rather than focusing on the future in a new world, the traveller celebrates the world as travelled, the world as wisdom acquired, and its net of words. Arguably, it is a lack of wisdom, or perhaps a lack of humility, that cost Icarus his life in the myth that is central to J.P. Lindström's Icarus Gone. Instead of a net of words spread through the seas, what we see in this very visual poem is Daedalus gliding, gazing downward at glinting sea, and then the tragedy of Icarus's fate. A slight whitish splash betwixt a wave and gone. Rina Ong's Silent Witness tells the same story, but here the attention at the end is focused on the tragedy of Daedalus, weeping as his son drowns, long before the fate of Icarus will fade slowly into myth. The literary inspiration of Joy al-Sofi's Golden Shovel was Rifat al-Hariri, a Palestinian poet killed in Gaza in December 2023. The ending of the poem echoes the fate of Icarus. Each uncertain hour may bring a tragic ending. But the last line refers back to al-Hariri's If I Must Die, which ends, Let it bring hope, let it be a tale. In al-Sofi's poem, This becomes limitless new beginnings to our tale. Other poems in the anthology draw their inspiration from the natural world. In Bomir's poem mentioned above, a bird becomes a keeper of memory and the soul. I hear the faint coo of the morning dove coaxing the sun to rise. In Tragus, by Lelawati Manu Raming, nature in the form of an obstinate plant becomes a powerful image of resilience. And when I have become nothing more than the wind blowing through a pair of jeans drying on a clothesline, the burgrass will still be here. For Vinita Agrawal, in Fragile Lexicon, nature becomes a kind of record. The river, scribe of forgotten prayers, the stone, keeper of slow time, the fog, dissolver of borders. The poem ends with a sense of optimism as day breaks, with this beguiling image. Then the animals stepped forward with their pockets full of dawn. There is much stunning imagery in the poems in this volume. Urmila Vyachaka Krishnam Pralad, for example, describes the unfurling of an accordion of sun. This vivid and compelling use of language reminds us that poetry is a gift, not only in the sense that some writers are gifted enough to rouse us from our everyday slumbers, but also in that their poems come to us as a gift of words. In this anthology, the many mingled voices offer us their diverse perspectives, hard-won wisdom and beauty. I began with Tanusha Nagrath's winning poem on a note of elegy, and I would like to end on that note too. The beauty and grace of so many of the poems in this book are, I believe, a fitting tribute to the man we lost last year and still mourn, Werner Bickley. Throughout his long and creative life, Werner laboured to bring about cross-cultural understanding and peaceful collaborative coexistence among all. He once said, "I would like to be remembered as someone who realised what the overall mission was." Through the lasting legacy of Mingled Voices and the many other books and projects he worked on, many of them with Gillian, his memory and that mission will surely last among us.